Alright you guys, Stoopzz back in with another video, and today I am doing a Resto Shaman guide. Sorry I've been away for a little bit, but I've been having a lot of computer issues, so if you've been following me on the stream, you'll know this. I've been putting it on Twitter as well, so I want to give a big shout out to Prince, Deagle, Patrick, Tyler, everyone that's been supporting me and donating towards my stream so I can go and get some new computer equipment. I'm still trying to save and see how much money I have, but that's why I've been away. Really sorry about that. But I know most of you guys don't care about that, and I'm here to bring you a Resto Shaman guide going into 7.3. I've had a chance to play Resto Shaman over the past couple weeks towards the end of the previous season. I got to about 2450, so I feel like now is a good time for me to release a Resto Shaman guide. Now, if you guys were waiting for this Resto Shaman guide for a long time, do not forget to smash that thumbs up button, as I know many players out there on YouTube want to see this video and get some information. And for all my Holy Paladin players out there, I will be releasing a Holy Paladin guide following the day you are watching this video. So whatever day you are seeing this video, the next day will be a Holy Paladin guide. So just like all of my previous guides, we're going to go over our general talents, our honor talents. I'll go over some quick tips and tricks that you guys can use, and what are the best comps going into 7.3 for Resto Shaman. Starting off with our general talents first, really the current meta supports the torrent playstyle. Usually you can get away with using your healing stream totem and using your torrent. It also works really well with your healing wave. I messed around with undulation for a little bit, but I find myself falling behind a lot, and you have to hard cast a lot more. The torrent supports a more of an instant cast playstyle, and you do not want to get interrupted as a Resto Shaman. Level 30, you always go Gust of Wind. It just gives you that extra mobility when you're trying to kite away. You can Gust of Wind into a Ghost Wolf. You can play pillars. You can jump onto a ledge and off a ledge. There's lots of things that you can do, lots of cool little tricks you can do with Gust of Wind, and I find it to be very fun to use and also very helpful. The next bracket is very situational. If you're trying to do more of a setup comp, then you can go for Lightning Surge Totem, which just places that stun on the ground. You can go for your Root Totem if your team already has a lot of stuns, or if it's like a double melee cleave, Voodoo Totem is very, very helpful versus like DKs and Windwalkers. If it's like a Destruction Warlock and you see them casting Chaos Bolt and you do not have a Wind Shear or a Grounding Totem up available, then you can Voodoo their cast. For level 60, I go Crashing Waves, and it just gives you an extra stack on your tidal waves, which works off your Riptide. Level 75, Earthen Shield Totem is the way to go. It gives you that great defensive mechanic that you see a lot of shamans using. It reduces the amount of damage you take while you are in your Earthen Shield. It is a great lifesaver. You can use it to counter a lot of offensive abilities. Echo of the Elements really feeds into the Torrent playstyle. It gives you 2 charges on your Healing Stream Totem, 2 charges on Lava Burst, but most importantly gives you 2 charges on Riptide. And Riptide is an effective, amazing heal that provides a good amount of burst healing as well as a hot. And every time you get a tidal wave proc, you have a 10% chance to generate another charge of Riptide. So it really works well with Torrent, and I prefer Echo of the Elements for level 90. Level 100, Ascendance is that big heal that you see a lot of shamans using when you activate it, and it spreads your heals evenly throughout the group, and it can really top your entire party. You just have to make sure that they're next to you, make sure you don't get interrupted. So if you have a Grounding Totem, you can use your Grounding Totem so you don't get interrupted. You can do a lot of healing with just Healing Stream and your Riptides, and then opt to use a Healing Surge or a Healing Wave, and you'll see that your group will start to immediately top themselves if they are next to you. Do not let your group members spread out on your Ascendance. Now going into our honor talents. Starting off, you have the option between Gladiator's Medallion or Relentless. Relentless is good in certain situations, but it's very, very risky. If you do opt to use Relentless, you want to make sure that you keep Earth Shield on yourself, and usually Earth Shield, Relentless, coupled with Vim and Vigor is a good combo. But for almost all other scenarios, I prefer Gladiator's Medallion. Going into our next bracket, the cool thing about Resto Shaman is you can utilize all 3 of these. So I found that Calming Waters is good versus any Affliction Warlock with like a Resto Shaman there, since they have so many interrupts. If they're going to be training you the whole time, you can offer Defender of the Week. If you're playing with a double Spellcaster comp, you can utilize them in Vigor, because if they do sit on you, then your casters can really wreck shop, do a lot of CC, and you'll get that bonus healing once they peel off of you. For the next row, we have a few options here. You have Counter Strike Totem, which is good in certain 2v2 scenarios. Usually Sky Fury Totem is the way to go. Rarely are you going to go into distance and try and drop Wind Fury Totem, so it's really between Counter Strike Totem and Sky Fury. Following that, you mainly have Swelling Waves. It just makes it so that when you cast a Healing Surge on yourself, it will repeat the same cast following a few seconds later, and it's good when you're trying to get away and top yourself. I don't cast Healing Surge too much because you will go but it is good in pinch situations. The next row, you can go into any of these. Voodoo Mastery just reduces the cooldown on your Hex or your Voodoo Totem, and it's really useful versus like a double melee cleave, or in 2v2 situations. Electrocute is great versus Resto Druids and Mistweaver Monks and Grounding Totem due to the change that they recently implemented, which makes it act more like a spell reflect. I find this to be very, very useful, especially versus teams with DKs. I almost always go Earth Shield. I've tried Spirit Link a few times, and it's good for certain rogue mage teams, but I feel like if you're new to the Resto Shaman, which I'm assuming most of you guys are, I always opt for Earth Shield, especially when first starting out. Now, just going over some quick tips and tricks. With the Resto Shaman, you want to make sure that you have a Healing Stream Totem up at all times. It works great with your Artifact, which increases the amount of healing that your Healing Stream Totem does. does. Also reduces the amount of damage you take by 16% for 10 seconds once you cast your Healing Stream Totem. Another great tip regarding Resto Shamans is the idea of using Ghost Wolf as a defensive. While you are in Ghost Wolf, obviously it frees you from, various snares and slows, but it also gives you a defensive buff over a period of time, and it increases in 4% increments every second, and it can stack up to, I believe, 24%. Now, regarding Sky Fury Totem, try and use it to set up kills for your team. Sky Fury really helps a lot of classes like Demon Hunters and various casters across the board. Grounding Totem can no longer be killed by damage spells during that 3-second duration. So this is a change. When you activate your Grounding Totem, they have to physically target the totem in order to get rid of it. Before, they could just throw out like an Ice Lance and something else, and it would kill the Grounding Totem because it would redirect it towards that. It can no longer be killed unless physically targeted. So you can throw out a Grounding Totem behind the pillar, and then you can go out and heal. They cannot poly, they cannot do any interrupts like that, and it will ground all of those spells for the next 3 seconds, whereas before they could just throw out a couple Ice Lances, and again, it would get rid of it. Regarding Healing Surge, again, I only use it when I feel like I actually have to use it. Sometimes I get away with just using Healing Wave, and because of this talent, Swelling Waves, it does help heal you or top you during moments of stress, but again, it drains a lot of mana just to use your Healing Surge. Regarding Purge, Purge is a very powerful ability, but it does drain your mana extremely fast, and if you are running Electrocute, you might get a little Purge happy, and you'll yourself extremely fast. So be careful with that, but again, use your Purge on cooldowns like Icy Veins, Druid Hots. Another nice pro tip that I've noticed is when you are in your Ascendance form, you can drop a Grounding Totem and go for your Gift of the Queen, and with Ascendance and your new artifact trait, which makes your Gift of the Queen apply twice, it's a lot of AoE healing that goes on across the team, and also is going to buff their overall health pools. I want to go over the basic rotation of a Resto Shaman. It's pretty simple. A lot of times you're going to activate your Riptide. It's going to give you those 2 stacks of your Tidal Waves, and you'll go into casting 2 Healing Waves. So you need to make sure you're keeping track of your Riptides. A lot of times when you're starting out with the Resto Shaman, you'll catch yourself casting a slow Healing Wave, and you really don't want to do that. You want to activate your Riptide and continue to cast these fast Healing Waves, and really it's just rinse and repeat. Make sure you have your Healing Stream Totem up. You can slow your enemies from a range. If they're slowed, you can throw a stun on them. If you're falling behind, you can go in for a Spirit Link. Once you pop your Spirit Link, don't immediately pop Ascendance if you don't have to. You can use your Healing Tide Totem to kind of stabilize the group if necessary. Try and save your Ascendance for moments where you're really falling behind, and not just when you pop your Link, because then you're trading 2 cooldowns for 1 situation. So sometimes you can simply get away with having Earth Shield on yourself and dropping an Earthen Totem. Try not to use your Earth Shield, Earthen Totem, and your wall. Space those out, and then use your Ghost Wolf a lot. I see a lot of players that don't activate Ghost Wolf enough. Once they catch up to you, go back in Ghost Wolf, drop a slow totem, continue Ghost Wolf, get over here, drop a Riptide, Healing Wave, get behind the pillar, and just rinse and repeat. Now, I just quickly want to get into some of the comps for Resto Shaman. There are so many comps for Resto Shaman, and that is why I enjoy this healer. As many of you guys know, I had my giant PvP rant video, and in that video, I said it's so hard to find people to play with and find partners. But as a Resto Shaman, there are so many comps that you can run with, and that is why I love this class. They excel in cleave teams, they do well in caster teams. They may not be the best in setup-based comps, like Rogue Mage, Hunter Rogue, Feral Hunter, those type of setup comps that usually favor priests, but all other comps, Resto Shamans really excel. Those double caster comps love Earth Shield and Earthen Shield Totem. They love having a Grounding Totem. They love having a Purge. Sky Fury is a big one there. Double melee comps love Resto Shamans for their ability just to heal, and then again, Purge really secures a lot of kills. So regarding specific comps, there are so many comps that you can play as a Resto Shaman, and I think it is a great healer for anyone to pick up going in to 7.3. But that's gonna do for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any more questions regarding Resto Shaman, you can leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you guys right away. Try not to miss me on my YouTube live stream where I answer all of your guys' questions in depth. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.